The French Revolution, spanning from 1789 to 1799, was a tumultuous decade that forever reshaped France and the world. Imagine a society obsessed with liberty and equality erupting into chaos, monarchy toppled, feudal privileges abolished, and radical ideas ignited a wave of change. Led by daring figures like Robespierre and Napoleon, this revolutionary era unleashed political upheaval, social upheaval, and violence, yet also sowed the seeds for modern democracy. Want to uncover the dramatic events and powerful figures behind this transformative decade? Dive into the extraordinary story of the French Revolution and discover how it changed the course of history. Origins and the outbreak, 1789. Social inequalities under the ancient regime had created enormous resentment. French society was divided into three estates: the privileged First Estate, clergy, Second Estate, nobility, and the vast, burdened Third Estate, commoners, bourgeoisie, peasantry. The Third Estate carried almost all taxation and lacked political power, while the elite enjoyed privileges. Economic crises, food shortages, and tax hikes from debt, partly due to Louis XVI's spending and helping the American Revolution, amplified tensions. By 1788, famine and economic hardship made daily survival difficult for most, leading to calls for reform. The Estates General convened at Versailles in May 1789, summoned by Louis XVI, gave hope for change. Delegates of all three estates gathered to solve the financial crisis, but quickly deadlocked over voting rights. The Third Estate demanded one man, one vote, challenging the old order. Frustrated, on June 17, they proclaimed themselves the National Assembly, vowing not to disband until a constitution was drafted. This act, symbolized by the tennis court oath, June 20, marked a direct challenge to royal authority. Public outrage and revolutionary fervor climaxed on July 14, 1789, as Parisians stormed the Bastille, a medieval fortress prison and royal symbol. The event, spurred by rumors of a royal crackdown, became a powerful emblem of popular resistance. It resulted in the death of the governor and marked the start of widespread unrest. The Great Fear swept the countryside as peasants attacked manors, fearing retribution from nobility, accelerating the collapse of feudal order. The August Decrees, August 1789, issued by the National Assembly, abolished feudal dues, tithes, and noble privileges, legally ending France's traditional hierarchy. Soon after, the Declaration of the Rights of Man and Citizen declared liberty, equality, fraternity, and popular sovereignty, giving ideological backbone to the revolution. These changes inspired hope among many and fear among the privileged. Women and the Parisian poor played a crucial role, especially during the October days, October 5–6, 1789, when thousands marched to Versailles to demand bread and forced the royal family to relocate to Paris. Their activism highlighted the harsh conditions faced by commoners and placed the king under direct revolutionary surveillance, further weakening royal prestige. The monarchy falls and France radicalizes, 1790 to 1792. The Civil Constitution of the Clergy, 1790, aimed to reform the Catholic Church in France, making clergy civil servants and requiring an oath of loyalty to the new order. This alienated many devout Catholics and split French society, pitting juring priests loyal to the state against non-juring priests loyal to Rome. Religious divisions sparked unrest, especially in rural areas, sowing seeds for internal conflict. Political clubs and factions rapidly gained influence. The Jacobins, initially moderate, grew into the leading radical group, attracting young intellectuals and future leaders like Maximilien Robespierre. Meanwhile, the Girondins, a more moderate group, advocated for war to spread the revolution. These debates, held in Paris cafes and salons, reflected the deepening ideological splits as new voices demanded more radical change. King Louis XVI's attempted escape to Varennes, June 1791, was a disaster for the monarchy. Caught while fleeing with his family, The king's betrayal shattered trust and fueled Republican sentiment among revolutionaries, who now saw him as an enemy of the people. The National Assembly suspended the king and increased demands for a republic, deepening polarization. The Declaration of Pillnitz, August 1791, by Austria and Prussia warned against harm to the French monarchy and suggested intervention. These external threats, alongside émigré activity, nobles who fled, created a siege mentality among revolutionaries. The Legislative Assembly, beset by paranoia, declared war on Austria in April 1792, prompting a new, more radical stage of the revolution. The summer of 1792 was marked by escalating violence. On August 10, revolutionaries stormed the Tuileries Palace and imprisoned the royal family, ending the monarchy's power. Massacres of suspected counter-revolutionaries, the September massacres, ensued. The National Convention was elected, declaring France a republic on September 22, 1792, signaling the final end of the ancient regime. The Republic and the Reign of Terror, 1793 to 1794. The trial and execution of Louis XVI took place in January 1793. Found guilty of treason by the Convention, Louis was guillotined on January 21. This irreversible decision radicalized both sides. Royalists sought vengeance, while Republicans intensified their efforts. Marie Antoinette followed in October. The monarchy's fall marked a symbolic transition from centuries of royal rule to full republicanism. Foreign wars escalated after the king's execution. Britain, Spain, the Netherlands, and others joined Austria and Prussia against France. The country faced invasion from multiple fronts, massive military conscription, levée en masse, and brutal suppression of internal revolts such as the Vendée Uprising. A royalist and Catholic rebellion in western France met with severe repression. The Committee of Public Safety, created in April 1793 and led by Robespierre, became the de facto government during the Terror. Its job was to root out enemies of the revolution and defend the republic at all costs. Draconian laws, censorship, and revolutionary tribunals targeted counter-revolutionaries. The guillotine became a daily spectacle in Paris, symbolizing both justice and terror. The Law of Suspects, September 1793, enabled mass arrests of enemies, nobles, priests, Girondins, and many innocents. Over 16,000 executions took place in less than a year, with the fear and paranoia touching every class. Famous victims included scientists, Antoine Lavoisier, and revolutionary leaders, Georges Danton, who was executed by rival Jacobins for insufficient zeal. The radical phase also saw a cultural revolution. Removal of religious symbols, the new Republican calendar, renaming of streets, and festivals celebrating reason. Women's political clubs, like the Society of Revolutionary Republican Women, were founded but later banned by the increasingly patriarchal government, highlighting the contradictions and limits of revolutionary ideals. Thermidor and the Directory, 1794 to 1799. The Thermidorian reaction, in July 1794, marked the end of the Terror. Robespierre and key allies were arrested and executed by former supporters fearing for their lives. His downfall saw the collapse of radical Jacobin power, and the revolutionary government shifted away from mass violence and centralized repression. New, moderate leadership sought stability. The National Convention abolished the Committee of Public Safety's emergency powers, freed political prisoners, and rolled back radical reforms. Many lands confiscated from the church and émigrés were sold off, enriching a new bourgeois elite. However, resulting economic hardship, inflation, food shortages, led to further unrest among Parisian workers and sans-culottes, urban poor. The new Constitution of 1795 established the Directory, a 5-member executive body designed to prevent another dictatorship. The Directory relied on army support to suppress both royalist uprisings, 13 Vendémiaire, 1795, and left-wing insurrections. Political life grew cynical and corrupt, with shifting alliances and personal enrichment taking precedence over ideology. Military success abroad, especially by rising General Napoleon Bonaparte in Italy, 1796–97, temporarily boosted the regime's popularity. French armies spread revolutionary ideas across Europe but also imposed heavy burdens on conquered territories. The Directory's militarism strengthened new social elites and set the stage for future authoritarian rule. Society under the Directory was marked by fashion excess, the incroyables, and merveilleuses, skepticism, and political apathy among exhausted citizens. Yet instability persisted. Coups, conspiracies, and the influence of royalist and Jacobin plots made genuine republican stability elusive. By 1799, many craved a strong leader to restore order. End of the Revolution and modern impact. The coup of 18 Brumaire, November 9, 1799, saw Napoleon Bonaparte, with Sieyès and other conspirators, overthrow the ineffective Directory. Using military force, he dissolved the legislature and established the consulate, with himself as first consul. This bloodless coup ended the revolutionary decade and paved the way for the Napoleonic Empire, effectively closing the revolutionary era. Though the revolution ended, its reforms endured. The abolition of feudalism, the secularization of state institutions, new legal frameworks, precursors of the Napoleonic Code, and citizen rights shaped modern France. Equality before the law became a core ideal, and civil liberties took root, though true democracy remained elusive. Internationally, the French Revolution inspired uprisings and reforms from Haiti, first successful slave revolt, to Latin America and Europe. Ideas of popular sovereignty, nationalism, and citizen rights challenged monarchies worldwide, with revolutionaries routinely citing 1789 as a model. The Declaration of the Rights of Man influenced later international documents like the UN Declaration of Human Rights. Despite positive legacies, the revolution foreshadowed dangers of mass politics, terror, dictatorship, and war. It demonstrated that radical ideas could produce both liberation and violence. The ensuing Napoleonic Wars, which engulfed Europe for almost 2 decades, had roots in the unresolved conflicts and ambitions generated during this period. Modern France's commitment to laïcité, secularism, social equality, and civic participation was born from these revolutionary years. French politics, national identity, and even contemporary protests, yellow vests, trace their roots to 1789. Globally, the revolution's principles continue to inspire movements for democracy, human rights, and social reform, proving its enduring influence.